Okay. So today we're talking about loving yourself enough to grind, right? Um, I like David Goggins and him, like he's saying, get in the beast mode where you grind. Like that's some of the best motivation that you can get out there, like being in the beast mode, loving yourself, just to grind, like good old fashioned grinding. Yeah. So let me put my blanket on my back because my hair is wet. So he talks about grinding, like being in that beast mode where you just grind. Hallelujah. The ninja is back. Nice to see you, love. Yeah. I like Goggins. I love David Goggins. He's he trains some of the richest people in the world, like what's her name? Lauren Bezos and Jeff Bezos, right? He's coaching like some of the richest people on the planet. It means that his beast mode mentality works for high achievers. And if you're a high achiever and you're looking for somebody like David Goggins to help you with motivation, right? Keeping fit and just being in the beast mode, right? It means like people like us, all we have to do is to look what the rich are preferring, who the rich are preferring. If they're preferring somebody like David Goggins, guess what? I may not be able to hire David Goggins, but I can tap into beast mode mentality because his beast mode mentality seems to be what's working. you know and his beast mode mentality is really like, you love yourself, you want to achieve something for yourself, then grind. Okay, you're gonna wake up when you don't feel like it. You're gonna you're gonna go for that 12-mile run when you don't feel like it at 4 a.m., right? And then you come home and then you're going to do some more. Okay, then you're going to work on your muscles and your core, and then you're gonna do what? You're gonna clean up your house, and then you're gonna cook yourself a nice healthy meal, and then you're gonna start working on your business, and you gotta keep going. Okay. Hi Cherries, Vanderworth, nice to see you today. You say you're very pretty. Thank you, love. Use Tubo. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so he says like you gotta be on the beast mode all the time, right? There is no turning back. And I have noticed this with me. If I am like on the beast mode and I'm going, and I slow down for some reason, I risk staying in that slump, right? And and sometimes you're like, oh, my muscles are achy. I don't want to do that run. You gotta, if the muscles are achy and you don't want to run, then go swimming. Then go swimming. Figure out another way to still kill the animal, right? Double tap to like, double tap to like. Today we are talking about loving yourself enough to grind, to bring in the grit, to bring in the fortitude, to bring in the determination, to bring in that attitude. When you go into yourself, let's say you're doing something difficult, your mind has no other choice than to give in to your body. And your mind comes into your body for some reason to help it through the difficult situation. The mind suddenly calms and lets the body go through it. And you will hear it. Some people say they get into the flow because the mind decides, hey, we have no choice. This person is determined, and it gives up all the noise and the protesting, because it's kind of like a child. It realizes you're gonna do it anyway, so it stops protesting. And like, let's say I come home from a run and the house is messy, and I'm gonna do it anyway, right? So I come, I fix myself a meal, I start doing the dishes, I start cleaning the house. At some point, I will notice that my mind will stop protesting. It doesn't want to do all these things that I'm making it do, right? Like clean the house, clean the bathroom, make the bed. Like, the mind doesn't want to do that. It would rather I stay in the couch and do absolutely nothing, but I am forcing it to wake up, go to yoga, go do this, do that, right? I'm directing it. And at some point it understands, like, oh, she's not gonna stop, right? For example, when let's say I decide I'm going to go for a 2-hour jog, in the middle of it, my body will be achy, and my mind will start telling me, like, go back, you can still go back. But I'm telling my mind, we are not going back. We're going to do the whole loop the way we had planned it before we went out of the house. We're going to do it. And the mind doesn't want to do it. For some reason, it doesn't want to do it. But I'll keep doing it until at some point, I can feel the mind being like just disappearing, and it's me and the body and the tarmac and me moving one foot to the next and the next and the next and the next. You will meet some people, they will say hi, and you're going on your own. They don't know what's driving you, but they see somebody who is probably in pain but still moving. they see you moving. Yeah, yes, Darren, yoga is really good, right? But that determination, that quiet determination, is really what activates the beast mode that David Goggins keep talking about. Like, we are moving from one activity to the next and the next and the next, and we keep going, right? We keep going. There's no stopping. That is what keeps us going. Hi, Salim De Kuomi. I like that name. Where are you from? De Kuomi. Sounds very exotic. It sounds because Salim, I know Salim is Kiswahili, because I'm Kenyan. I know Swahili names. Um, hi, hi, Jurgit. Nice to see you again. I think I've seen your name here sometime. Today we are talking about loving yourself enough to grind. Yeah, love, so much love, 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 Africa. Um, Loving yourself enough to grind. So, Jurgita, tell us, what are you doing to grind? What are you doing? What are you grinding about? Maybe you're grinding, for me, fitness has become very important to me. So, I'm grinding for my fitness, um, and that includes doing things like, I know sometimes I have a hard time drinking water, you know. I force myself to drink water. And I try not to drink it from a plastic cup. Try to get one of this. This is not plastic. If you put water in this container, it's not plastic, so you avoid the microplastics. Microplastics are bad for the environment and they're bad for your brain. You don't want your brain to have like plastic. So let's use this to save the animals in the sea, and so animals don't keep eating plastics, because they don't have a doctor to go see if they eat something wrong. So always grind, no matter how you look. Remember, bills will not stop ever coming unless you know loopholes, right? Grinding, grinding, grinding. Love yourself enough to grind, enough to grind. It's all in the name of grinding. Okay, let's love ourselves enough to grind. Here is post-traumatic bliss. My name is Kanini. If you're new to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Thank you for the love. Who's sending me love? Is it you, Salim? Thank you, thank you. I like, yeah. Emmanuel, nice to see you again. Emmanuel likes my color, it's the beautiful color from Africa, Yeah, nice to see you guys. Yeah, today we're talking about self-love. This is post-traumatic bliss, where we heal from trauma, where we heal from everything. Today we are talking about grinding. There is that healing that you come with when you grind. And when I say grinding, try something, extensive, like running or lifting up weights, going to the gym. Your body needs to be moving so that it can keep moving in your life. The reason why we are not able to do a lot when we are on the couch is because the couch has its own thing, right? It's its own lifestyle and movement. You gotta keep moving. Moving is life. Yusufori is saying, hello, just had therapy today and I'm seeing this live stream. You're welcome. Hit the like button, double tap and subscribe, because we all need therapy. We all need a community that reminds us to stay the course. You gotta stay the course of life, and you gotta show up for yourself in the Colosseum of life. You gotta show up for yourself. What's your type? But you're definitely bright. And maybe more specific about grinding, because there is going to be people misinterpreting what you mean. The number one reason why people win and why some people don't win in life is grit. That inner quiet silence that keeps you going, right? It's kind of like an inner that keeps you. Let me talk to this person. Hi, Abraham. Good. Um So sorry, I was on the phone. User 4 is saying, yes, I'm going through trauma therapy right now, which is super hard. I'm also working and studying in uni at the same time, but I'm going to be present and heal hard, which is hard in my 20s. User 4, you came to the right place. Let me tell you, because I work with trauma and I work with post-traumatic bliss, and I'm going to give you a lot of information here so that you know exactly how you're going to do this healing thing, and it's going to work, okay? Because I have been through trauma. You're going to whatever I'm going to say to you, just make sure you do your own research, okay? Do your own research and figure it out. Number one, with trauma, you don't want to take those antidepressants, the SSRIs, and all these medications that they give you, because they are going to numb you. They are going to numb the person that is inside of you. You don't want to numb that person. You want to feel life. The worst thing you can do when you're in trauma is when you get to a place where you're not able to cry, like tears, right? Because you when you're not able to cry, it means like you have been locked out of yourself, okay? You have been locked out of yourself. Somehow you're trying to access your emotions and you're not able to. So I got into such a point myself. When I was healing through trauma, I could not cry. So that's one thing. The other thing that people who are going through trauma, they will do, they will make their trauma worse unknowingly, right? For me, I got into a relationship because I didn't have any friends, but that relationship was very negative, and I stayed that relationship longer than I should have, and it was so emotionally so bad for me. Don't get into relationship out of, desperation, out of survival mode, out of anything. You're going to make it worse for yourself. Just don't do it. Don't do drugs, okay? Don't do meth, don't do alcohol, don't do cocaine, don't do heroin, don't do those like difficult drugs to get out of, because a lot of people, again, when they're in trauma and they're looking for healing, they go and do these hard drugs and they mess up themselves even more. Don't take that route. Okay, so we're not getting into relationships for survival mode. We are not getting into drugs, and we're not taking the SSRIs, right? So what are you going to do? Is what you're gonna do. Change the relationship you have with God. You can change the relationship. A lot of times when we are abused by people who are also telling us about God, we pair God with those ideas and those people, and because of that pairing, we hate God because we hate the people who told us about God. Okay? You gotta change the behavior and how you understand God and the relationship, so that in your 20s, you don't want to be the person who stays like 10 or 15 years without praying, without asking God for guidance, without reading the Bible, without getting the wisdom that comes freely from God. Because what if you're not able to afford therapy? Right? What if you're not able to afford therapy? You can get free therapy from reading the Bible. You can get free wisdom from reading the Bible. You don't want to cut yourself from that source of wisdom just because somebody messed you up, and they were saying God is on their side, okay? You want to change that relationship that you have with God. That way you don't go astray. That is one thing. Second, you have to work out. Work out like a beast, okay? Work out like your life depends on it. Like a beast. If you're going through trauma in your 20s, I'm telling you, wake up at 4 a.m., go for a 2-mile run or swim for 2 hours straight, okay? Work out like your life depends on it, because it does. Okay? Trauma lives in the muscles of your body, okay? Trauma lives in the muscles of your body. So what you want to do is you want to our cells, they renew themselves every 3 months. So you want to work it out of your system, okay? You don't forget the couch, okay? There are times when I was going through trauma, I did not buy a couch because I never wanted to sit on the couch. You gotta work out like your life depends on it. Wake up early, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., first thing work out. Just work out. You Safari say you're getting motivated to work out. Yes. uh, uh, and the reason why you stumble in, God is great, and yeah, and don't take exactly. So you're working out, right? Take up meditation. Meditation works. Like meditation works all the time. Like meditation works. The other thing I'm going to say is learn to look for good mentors and good coaches, but don't forget the word of God. Let me tell you, a lot of people out there, they will give you a lot of wisdom, a lot of advice. And when you just listen to everybody, it can become very noisy. It can become very noisy. That's why I say anchor yourself with the word of God so you don't get led astray. But then, because you're going to be, if you listen to God's advice, if you go to church or you read the Bible for the next 10 years, you're going to be successful. You're going to be 100% guaranteed success. Okay? Because guess what? God cannot lead you astray. When God tells you to love yourself, right? Because God tells you love yourself. Even before you love your neighbor, you gotta love yourself. People will not misuse you. People will not trick you into things that are ungodly, into things, because it's the ungodly things that traumatize you, and then they make your life not to go the way that you want to. So in your 20s, you've seen adults who've probably traumatized you because of their ungodly ways. Mostly because they did something ungodly and they spread their fear, they spread their trauma, they spread their pain. You know, in your 20s, you haven't fucked up your life. You haven't messed up your life. In your 20s, it's your time to grind and make a life for yourself, right? You haven't messed up your life. You're very delicate. You're very open. So avoid people who want to use you, because people want to use people in their 20s. Okay, people want to take advantage of people in their 20s, because guess what? They're more attractive in their 20s. So there are people out there who want to use you for sex in your 20s, to use you, to use your body, to to take advantage of you. Don't do that, because a lot of 20-year-olds, they're not emotionally intelligent, and then they're not aware that there are people out there ready to take advantage of them, because they are not very wise in life. They're not very experienced in life. Okay, so in your 20s, that's when you start working on your own business. If you get a job or whatever, start your own side hustles, make your money. Okay, save your money. You can look for a good partner in your 20s, because if you get a good partner in your 20s, by the time you're in your 30s, you could even have kids. By the time you're 40, your kids are already grown, and for you, you are a free agent. You can do whatever you want with your time after your 40s. If you look for a good partner, and for you to get a good partner, you have to talk to God, for God to show you what kind of a good partner it is. Like, you gotta, when I say talk to God, you have to know what the word of God says about a good relationship, what the word of God says about you loving yourself. You have to learn about attachment styles, right? The psychology of attachment styles, and learn your attachment style, and then look for a partner that matches your attachment styles. Like, your 20s is the time you plan. It's not the time to compare yourself with other people who've already achieved a lot in life. Can you can't get no super chat. We can grow together. You know, I know my you get super chat when you have like 4,000 hours. I don't have 4,000 hours yet. If I get super, so well, if you don't want to subscribe here, then go to another place you can subscribe. Thank you for stopping by. You know, Sani, bless you, bless you. Yeah, so it's good to realize, like, when you have to grow. I really love somebody like Yusafori, because they understand, they're in their 20s, they understand that their mental health is the most important thing, and they are looking for people to guide them. They're going to therapy, they're talking to people, because I mean, you can avoid a lot of pain in your 20s if you decide to prioritize emotional intelligence, if you decide to prioritize your well-being. You know, in your 20s, avoid people like married people who want you to get you into like a situationship, you know, where they are just using you because they are bored in their marriage and they are bored in their relationships, or you know, people who don't want to build something with you. Avoid them. So user for, let's talk about that, what you're talking about. You have, yes, you have a job and a good career in pharmacy, but you're also studying to have a higher education, but it's so hard because you help your family out financially. I feel like you can't get out of this. You feel like you cannot get out of this because you're in a codependent relationship. I want you to go find the book called Codependent Normal. Codependent Normal. I had a lady I was coaching, and she read that book, and it changed her forever. She had the same problem that you're having. Okay, she was trying to help out her family because she felt sorry for them, because she felt like they could not do without her and all that. But once you realize that everybody is gifted by God with a very beautiful brain, and when you stop helping people, they will lift themselves up. When you don't realize, the mistake that you're doing is, these people are going to hate you eventually because you're going to keep helping them, and they're going to resent you. They're going to resent you because you're doing a job that is not yours. And then when you feel like you've been depleted, you're going to start hating them. And then once you start hating them or not getting frustrated with them, you're going to be resentful with them. Eventually, you're going to do that. But when you stop intervening in people's lives, because it's not your job, people will naturally, they will start blooming. They will start realizing the talents that they don't have. They will start realizing the resources that they're not using, that they have around them. You know, what you're doing is you're stifling them of their own creativity. You're taking away from them their ability to fend for themselves by stepping in. You're the one causing them to be dependent on you. And maybe you're doing that because you want their love, you want their affection, but you don't need to buy any love and affection from anybody. If I have to help you so that you love me, then that is not a genuine kind of love, okay? But sometimes letting people work out their own problems will help you. Let me tell you a story about Melody Beattie. Melody Beattie is the one who wrote the book Codependent Normal. Go get that book, because whatever that you need right now, you need to read that book. You need to read that book. That book will change you so fast so quickly that you will come here and you will tell me, what the hell? I read that book. I'm a changed person now. Okay. uh, it's going to help you. So Melody Beatty had this husband who was always drunk. He would get a job. He would work on that job for a few days. Then he would start drinking, drink. Then he would stop coming home at all, and she would go out looking for him in the streets. When he's so drunk, she would bring him home. When they got home, she would start shouting and screaming at him, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing this? And he would start playing the victim. Okay, he would start playing the victim, like he's hopeless, she is shouting, and then she would start feeling bad about everything that she had done. And then over time, he would lose his job because he did not show up on time. And then she would start helping him look for another work, look for it, and then the cycle would continue on and on and on and on. So what stopped her one day is she was getting mad with her husband, and she saw herself with a knife chasing him in the kitchen. And she saw herself with a knife, like a mad person who's already lost their mind, chasing him in the kitchen. She was resentful, she was frustrated, she was angry. That relationship of her giving and giving and giving had caused her to have mental health problems. It had caused her to become very resentful, become very angry. And she decided, it's time I stop. They divorced and she got her life back together. But you gotta see where it's headed. Okay, you gotta see where it's headed. It's very unhealthy. In your 20s, you are not responsible for your parents, for your siblings. You're not responsible for anybody but yourself. If your boat sinks, you have yourself to blame. Okay, you are the captain of your own ship. If it sinks, you got yourself to blame, right? So you're not responsible for anybody. You are 100% responsible for yourself. Other people are 100% responsible for their lives. If their life is not working out, okay, then it's not working out for them. But you are no longer able, if it's not your kids, you're responsible for your children. If it's not your kids that you're having to sacrifice for, and I'm talking kids that are like at an age where they're not able to provide for themselves, you are not responsible for anybody. Okay, don't sink your own ship trying to save others. Okay, sometimes you gotta cut the ties. Okay, cut the ties. No one is going to sink your ship, and you're just going to let them go slowly. You're going to stop offering help. You're going to stop asking how they are. You're just going, to get on your own. Go finish your masters. Go finish your education. Okay, go finish whatever you have. You're going to stop helping your family financially because they can get 2 jobs, they can start doing things, they can ask for government help. When you stop helping people, they will find a way. Okay, you're not the solution. People will find long-lasting solutions to their problem. uh, uh, yeah, you found the book. Awesome, awesome. That sounds like a problem that you're not able to solve this problem, right? Keep moving, or or start a business. Or your family can start a business. you know. If it's a financial problem, you can get you know, something that they can do, you know. If they are not able to get a job, they can, maybe they can see like a side business. They can start making anything, selling something, right? Because here's the thing, if somebody is not able to get out of bed, get out of the couch, get out of the house, go out there, do something, okay, then you need government intervention, you know. Then you need government intervention. Let me tell you, don't become a caretaker. You're going to have a hard time financially, like mentally it's going to be very tough mentally. So you gotta ask other family members to come in and intervene. You can't be the soul, you're not the savior, okay. you know sometimes, like sometimes you think like, hey, if I go to school, I'll get this wonderful job eventually. But there's so many people who've been out of school that are still looking for work, you know. um, Especially when it comes to higher education, you gotta be very careful about the kind of career you're pursuing. You know, like going to higher education to pursue like a master's in business the way I did, it's so general. But if you're going to do something like, oh, you want to be like a clinical psychologist, or um, you're going to do something like social work, you're going to do something like nursing, like something that, you know, you out of here you get money, you out of here you get money. Other than that, then start a business. Then start a business. It can, that money and time, you can actually make more money starting a business than you would if you went to college and got a job in this economy right now. Like going to school, and I'm telling you from somebody who has gone to school and done the whole thing, sometimes it's not worth it. Senimat said, I went to take care of my mom and crossed the entire country. I gave up a relationship, but I did escape homelessness in California, which is not fun after 3 weeks hiding in large buildings. Well, now you're grateful, right? That you have a place to sleep. At Mick says, you hope, you hope user 40 will be a doctor, depending on the kindness of custodians who would look the other way as I slept in a science theater. Kali is wild. I'm in DC right now, unstoppable. I am so happy for you, Senimats. Yeah, with school, you have to really know exactly what you need from it. You can't just go to school and get a master's in business, or get a course in English, okay? It might backfire. You know, I used to tell, or I used to tell like my nephew, like, go to school, maybe go do, like, learn how to do like a mammogram or something, like just one basic thing that can be needed, and they can be of, you can be of use to people. But otherwise, like higher education, like for me, I had a very hard time because I studied international studies, which is political science, in my undergrad. Then I did an MBA, and it is very, very difficult unless you are creative and you want to start a business. You may not find work, I'm telling you. Hey, Sunny, I thought that too. I'm working a lot to gain more money. Maybe I will leave my master in pharmacy because I also want to travel. You know, pharmaceutical is very, like, you're in a very, user for by the way, um, pharmacy is a very good career. Like, people in pharmacy, like, they make good money. So that is a career worth pursuing, you know. um Sani Mats is going back for anthropology, but until I'm richer, it's coming. Yeah, I was all over California and Seattle and Las Vegas. Thank you. Yes, like, anthropology is one of those careers that, what are you gonna do after you graduate? How are you gonna make money after you graduate? You know, kind of like, it can put you in a bind. But on the other hand, you know, if you have like an undergrad, you can do a few exams and become like a special education teacher. And then even if you have like a master's in English, you can still do something, become a special education teacher and move forward, right? I mean, I love school. I could not take the lessons that I took from going to school, understanding political environment, kind of like, it helped me understand life better. But, you know, I went to Hampton University, left to become a caretaker for my dad, then went back to CC, then graduated and worked, but now I must return to university. I'm very, very grateful. Yeah, see, it kind of probably just worked out for you now. Uh, you're 36, you feel like a young 50. I mean, you've been through a lot. Being a caretaker is not an easy job at all, right? It's not an easy job. Uh, oh, I mean, like, all that, like, all that. I understand when people are traumatized and they get into drinking, but it'll always end badly, right? It'll always end badly. Like, Yusufari says, I'm 25 years old now. Pretty young. Yeah, I studied 2.5 years in pharmacy in school as a graduate pharmaceutical assistant. Now I'm working after I took after I took care of my dad too. You know, like, I know some of the things that the economy does not reward you, let's say, for taking care of your father or stuff like that, right? And most and really, it's not your job to take care of your father, but it's something you do from your heart. Some of the things that you do is for your mental health, for your heart, taking care of family members, and it has its own it has its own gratifying effect, right? It doesn't say it's not hard, it's not draining, you'd rather be in love, taking care of your own children, right? But there is something also that is good about, like, this was my family member, they were not well, and I took care of them. Like, that talks to you about your ability to be resilient, your ability to work hard, your ability to buckle up and do things. And that tells you that you have a lot of courage, you have a lot of determination, you have a lot of grit, you have everything that it needs to be successful. And that means that if you wanted to start a business, you can grind through it and make millions of money, because it just shows that your character has it. Like, you're meant for big things. Like, you don't see those things molding your character, but those are the things that mold your character, and those are the things that make you go places, like, at the end of the day, right? Sometimes we a lot of people, like, you might feel like you're missing out because, oh my god, I was supposed to be in school, and then life gave me a detour, then I had to take care of my father, still, that's okay. Still, like, life has not said like this is the end, but what life is doing is making you have that stamina, right? That stamina that, hey, if this thing has happened, like the worst thing that can happen is probably, see my dad suffer. Starting a business will be an easy cake for you because, because you have dealt with something that's so emotionally heavy. Starting a business, going to school, grinding through it, those things will be so much easier for you, right? Because you've already been prepared, like something has already prepared you. User for say, after my dad passed, I needed to work now a lot, but I returned now to uni, maybe in a higher position, but I don't know if that is necessary. My dad passed too. It's wild, and the game goes on. It's like, what just happened? Oh yes, I am thankful to have peace and an opportunity. I make more than my parents made when they were my age, You see, there are things that in life you cannot control. Like, I learned this from Buddhism, and I lost my parents for me when I was very young. When I was like 6 years old, I had already lost both my parents. So I may not be able to identify with you, having to take care of a parent, right? Like all those, like going through all that. But I know life is very tough as a caregiver. Caring for somebody, it's emotionally draining, physically tasking. It can put you on a very low mood for a long time, and it can be downright traumatizing, because instead of your parents taking care of you, now you're having to take care of them. It's very traumatizing. And as you're healing, you gotta know, like, life has its own terms, right? Life has its own terms that we cannot argue with. For example, I could not argue with life when my parents died at 6 years old, right? You could not argue with life when your dad fell sick and he died, right? Those are things that happens. Like, you cannot argue with life. You're living life on its own terms, and sometimes the terms of life are like, damn. But if you had told me that I would find peace after losing my parents, after losing my brother, after growing up in extreme poverty, after getting into a very emotionally draining relationship, if you had told me that there was peace on the other side of the tunnel when I was going through that, I would have been, fuck no, no fucking way. There's a time that I felt like maybe I should take some pills and die because I am just tired, and the mind can go there. It just tells you, this is so hard. This is so tiresome. Just give up. Just give up. Just give up, right? Don't listen to that voice. Wake up, go for a run, and grind. Eventually, things become bright. Eventually, the small efforts that you add up and add and add and add and add and add and add, eventually they open up and it's bright. And then you will look back at those times when you had your father going through a hard time, whatever. You look that as a season of your life. It will surely go into the background as a season in your life, as a season you overcame, when other people would have ran away from their sick parents, when other people would have taken the short way out. You're the one who stayed, right? And you have known how to move through that. Sometimes you have to do it, and sometimes you have to walk away. For me, I had to walk away from, like, let's say my brothers, right? Like, my brother kept doing like alcohol, getting into rehab on my expense, and even, and then sometimes I lost my job, right? I lost my job, and I realized it's very expensive when he is not working on his mental health. And I have with other family members, but they look at me to keep funding this, to keep giving them money, to keep doing that. And I decided I'm not gonna do it this time. if you're going to have to die because I'm not there to help you out of your drug addiction, it's going to go that way. And I don't know why a part of me snapped and I accepted that reality that he might die, and I cannot keep, I cannot keep worrying that what happens if he dies. Because here's the thing, because I had lost my parents when I was very young, it's very easy for somebody to manipulate me because I am afraid of losing them. And I thought like that's the game they were playing, because I already have lost a brother, I've already lost parents, and I was afraid of losing other people in my life, because you get into, yeah, it's a Motorhead t-shirt. Yeah, because you get to a point where it's hard, right? But for me, I decided like there are battles that I can fight, there are battles that I cannot fight. You really have got to figure out which ones, which battles you can fight, which battles are going to sink the ship. But don't sink the ship, okay? Don't sink the ship. Hello, Mike. Hi, Kenrick. Kenrick, nice to see you again. Mike, nice to see you again. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're double tapping. Isafori said, yes, I thought the same, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Therapy saved me too. Therapy is good, right? Working out is good. It's like you really, when it comes to mental health, you have to keep grinding for your mental health. A lot of people think like mental health happens randomly, like somehow if you don't work towards your mental health, peace is going to happen in your life. And I'm here to tell you, from somebody who's been traumatized, you earn your peace, you earn your mental health, by the things you do, like going to therapy and talking honestly. And you don't try not to hide things that you're embarrassed about from your therapist, okay? If your therapist does not seem to have any kind of wisdom that they're sharing with you, find another one. But the thing is, the therapist does not have answers for your life. Most therapists are trained not to upset you, because if they upset you, you're not going to share with them. So they want to create a safe space for you to express yourself. The therapist is never going to tell anybody anything about your life unless you say you're going to hurt other people or you're going to harm yourself, right? Then they have to intervene. Tell them anything. Tell them what you're angry about, what you hate about the current situation, what you want to change. Tell them what you dislike. Download. Don't hide. You're human. You're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to make mistakes. Tell them something you're ashamed about. Tell them something like, I am ashamed that, I did this and that last night, last weekend, whatever, last month. Tell them, and I feel ashamed about it. It's these low-level emotions. If you don't understand it's the low-level emotions of guilt, shame, anger. When they don't have an outlet, those are the ones that sink the ship of your mental health. Low-level vibration, low-level emotions. Did I get anything from religion? Religion has wisdom. Religion has wisdom, and the religious ways of life are meant to kind of bring some sort of stability along life, but there are people who use religion and weaponize it against other people. So You gotta be careful who you're following, why you're following them. That's why I say read the Bible for yourself. Don't read it for your pastor. Don't read it so that you can follow the crowd, because a lot of these churches, they are weaponized against you. Some of them are using dark psychology so that they can take money from you, or so that you can live in fear. There's a lot to say about mental health. I mean, we can't exhaust it in one day. Kenrick says, always good to see you. This is Motorhead. Give me 1 second. I'm starting a new job. I mean, for me, let me say, religion used to confuse me because I used to hate the people who first brought the gospel to me because they were cruel people. These are the people that I met in the children's home. But I was also, a traumatized kid because I lost my parents when I was young, and so I didn't understand God, why he would kill my parents and then he would kill my children. Then he would kill my brother. Like, I didn't understand how God can allow these things to happen. But as I grow older, now I understand life, things like this happen in life. But I was angry for a long time. I didn't go to church. I didn't pray. But when you cut off yourself from the wisdom of the day, there are a lot of things that the Word of God can protect you from. It can give you wisdom. Even if you don't believe in God, it can still give you wisdom and to understand people's intentions, to be very discerning of people who want to use you, to be very discerning of bad people and their intentions. It really sharpens you in that kind of a way. So that is why I say, even if you're traumatized, still read the Bible, still go to church, still sing and dance and praise God, because that's going to protect you from, at some level, it's going to protect you from depression. You may not even be aware that it's doing that to you, but it will. It's going to make you stronger mentally and emotionally, even if you're not aware that it's doing that for you. So ways that God protects you is sometimes in ways that you don't know. But when you're in your 50s and now you understand life better, you will see, surely that must have been God's word that protected me. That must have been the wisdom of God that protected me. Surely that must have been what I read in the Bible that that lit the path for me. Surely that is what gave me more faith. Surely it was faith that protected me from depression, or it was faith that made me start that business. And when you're older, that's when you start seeing those wisdom, and that, like, you start seeing these things make sense. I have seen a lot of people who don't trust in God's wisdom. They are unable to forgive people. They are unable to move on from past hurts. They are not able to stay steadfast. Like you, Zafari, you have a way, you're staying steadfast, right? And your steadfastness is what's going to help you win the race, right? The Bible says, be ye steadfast. The Bible never says give up. yeah. I mean, whether you're Muslim or whether you're Christian, I believe there is only one God, right? I believe there is only one God, and I believe that He is a loving God. You know, being a Christian or a Muslim is just a way of life, right? But for me, I believe there is only one God. I But when it comes to Christianity, there are things that you will see that Muslims and Christians do, right? Like marriages between Christians and Muslims are very different because of whatever, you know, different cultures around the world. They eat different foods. They give different meanings to different kinds of foods, all that, okay, at the end of the day, I believe there's only one God anyway. But your mental health, our mental health is pretty much the same. All of us have a nervous system, and our nervous system acts the same way. If you're either surviving or you're in homeostasis and balance. If you're taking care of let's say a sick parent, or you're single, you don't have, maybe you're just single like me, or maybe you're lonely, or you're going through a sickness, your nervous system tells you that you're in survival mode, that you are surviving, okay? And every day you're reacting to stress things, to stress, to things, to that. Your nervous system is telling you, right now you're in survival mode. Right now you're in the sympathetic nervous system. You gotta learn, one thing you have to learn about mental health, if you want to understand mental health, you have to learn the nervous system, and you have to learn the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. And whenever you're in a chronic place of stress, let's say you are taking care of a parent who is sick for a long time, they are chronically ill, you are also in a chronic state of survival mode. We call it the sympathetic nervous system, where you're just reacting. And you have to know what that does to you and your ability to think long term and plan for long term goals. When you're in a state of chronic stress, right, the brain will shut down your prefrontal cortex. You will find it hard to think long term, to plan things long term, to do things long term. And that is why we say, like, you gotta do things like running that mimic the stress response, so that your body is able to reset from a stressful event, and then resets back to homeostasis, to balance. Because if you're not working out and you're chronically stressed, the body has no outlet for all this stress, the cortisol and the adrenaline. It has no outlet for it. If you are in the jungle and you are stressed out because a lion is chasing you, you would be running and you would be burning all that stress and adrenaline. But if you're getting stressed because your dad is sick, all this cortisol and stress is happening in your nervous system. But if you're not working out like crazy, like your life depends on it, like really, really working out, where is it going? How are you getting rid of those survival chemicals in your bloodstream? Where are they going? Because if you don't get rid of them, you will not be able to think clearly, because the nervous system shuts down thinking when there is presence of these chemicals in your bloodstream. It shuts down because it's telling you you need to survive. You don't need to plan and think long term, right? That is why you gotta be able to either wake up very early in the morning and do your 2-hour jog, reset your system, right? Like reset it from stress to more focus, because your life depends on it. This is why I say, if you love yourself, you gotta grind. You gotta grind like it depends on it, because it does. There is no room for other things other than that focus, that fortitude, that determination, and going, right? Exercise, you cannot take it out of the equation. It is in the equation because your nervous system is in the equation. So working out is in the equation. Like, okay. Uh, so because it resets you from the survival mode into balance. Exercise will move you from survival mode into balance because it mimics the stress response. So when you exercise, it's like you're responding to stress, and your body understands that, and it synthesizes the stress chemicals in your system and puts you back into balance from survival mode. So if you're understanding the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system is the survival mode, and the parasympathetic nervous system is the homeostasis, is the balance. You want to use exercise to help you find that balance, especially when you're going through a a situation that has stress in your life. Okay. That's it, balance, right? Homeostasis, balance. You gotta, the cornerstone of understanding your mental health is understanding those two systems. I go deep when I'm teaching the post-traumatic bliss class. I go deep into it because I want people to understand. I don't know if I can advise I can advise you on your girlfriend, but I can advise you on attachment. Ask Harold. So what else can move you from survival mode into balance? Meditation. Meditation helps you integrate with your body. It helps bring integration in your nervous system. When you do the Wheel of Awareness, type on YouTube Wheel of Awareness by Dan Siegel. That meditation of the Wheel of Awareness, it helps you go through, your five senses, your eyes, the hearing, the taste, the touch. Then it helps you go through your, the skull, the muscles on your face, the neck, the shoulder. It goes all the way down to your hands, your extremities, then from your cervix all the way to your heart, back to your soul, to your mind. It brings that integration, right? It brings that togetherness, your system. That will move you from survival mode into balance, into homeostasis. Yes, yes. You need to work tomorrow. Awesome, awesome. Make sure you have a heavy, heavy workout. Remember, if you want to sleep like a baby, work out. Work out, work out, work out. You're going to sleep like a baby. You're going to reset your nervous system. Even if you're going through stress, working out like a beast will reset your nervous system. Thank you, User42. Thank you for the live stream. You're welcome. This is a live stream. You'll be joining next time. Thanks. Hit the subscribe button. Good night, and may you be happy and live with a joyful heart. And may you be healthy and live with a body that gives you energy. And may you be safe and protected from all sorts of inner and outer harm. And may you live with the ease that comes with well-being. Good night, and we'll see you tomorrow on the next time you show up here. Love, 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 love that. Working out is king. That is what Wes Worldo's telling you. You need to open up chakras, meditating, bringing your focus and energy to your body is what heals the body. We remember where your attention goes, energy will flow there. So if you're focusing on your heart, your lungs, your abdomen, your legs, your well-being, your calm energy. When you're focusing on that, you're sending energy there. And where energy goes, neural connection grows. You want to grow neural connections for calm, for peace, for love. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, neural connections grow. You're very powerful. The most powerful thing you have is your attention, your ability to focus. That's the most powerful thing that you have, right? So if you're not able to focus because of stress, you need to work out like your life depends on it, because it does. You need to meditate like your life depends on it, because it does, right? If you focus on learning things like how to eat well, how to have a healthy diet, your focus is going there, your energy is going there, neural connections will grow. Eventually you will learn about different foods, what they do to your health. You will start buying those foods, and before you know, your lifestyle has changed and you eat healthy. Before you know. So I love you guys, and I love that you guys show up here. We are here to support each other. We are here to give ourselves the advice that we need so that we can move from survival mode into post-traumatic bliss. When we are moving from survival mode, we are moving away from what? We are moving away from sympathetic nervous system. That we are losing the survival mode. And the other thing we are going to lose, we are losing low level emotions, guilt, shame, right? Those emotions are one of the lowest. Living with guilt and shame is probably one of the lowest emotions that can make you go into drugs, that can make you hate yourself, that can make you live a life that wasn't designed for you. Okay? We all make mistakes. There is nothing God cannot forgive about you. So there's no need for anybody to shame you, but you need to go inside and learn to forgive yourself and learn to love yourself, because love heals everything. Love conquers everything. And when you understand the power of love, you will move from survival mode into homeostasis, into balance, okay? These things are easy. If you know how to heal trauma, it's actually simple. Okay, it's the inner work and the consistency that you will have to do. My job is to show you what to do. My job is to show you what works. Your job is to stay consistent. Okay, your job is to stay consistent. I have done the research, I have done the work, I have overcome my own trauma. I don't want you to live a life that you don't want. I don't want you to live a life that you're not happy with. I don't want you to live and waste a life that is truly a gift for you. Okay, you can learn from my mistakes, you can learn from my healing journey, you can take it and you can live a happy life that God designed for you. You know, emotions like jealousy are also very low level emotions. Do not ever fall into the traps of being jealous with other people. Remember, you are one of a kind. You're just like a snowflake. There are no two snowflakes that look alike in nature. Okay, in this society we have standards of how we think people should look if they are beautiful, of how, no, you don't have to compare yourself with anybody. You don't have to be jealous of anybody, whether they come from a family. Your family is just as beautiful as the family of the richest person on earth. Okay, your family is just as unique and beautiful and great. Your looks are just as beautiful and precious and as unique. Okay, it doesn't matter whether the rest of the world agrees with God or not, the way he designed you. The truth of the matter is he did not ask for their permission, and neither should you, right? And you need to speak yourself in these kinds of ways to affirm yourself, because your mind, where your energy goes, your attention goes, right? And where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, neural connections grow. And what grows in your neural wiring, what grows in your neurons, that's the wiring that you get. Are you going to wire yourself to love yourself, or are you going to wire yourself to not love yourself? Right? Because the choice is yours. Are you going to believe I am unique and I have a purpose and I am beautiful, and let energy and conviction and everything flow that way, so that you build a mind that is confident, so that you build a mind that is self-assured? Or are you going to listen to the enemy? Or are you going to listen to the enemy? Right? Because you have enemies that want to make you feel like you're not unique, that you don't, like, your enemies don't want you to believe that you have a purpose, that there's something about you that is unique. And they know that there are not two you in the planet, right? There'll never be in this whole entire universe anybody like you, in the whole entire universe, for eternity. There'll never be somebody else like you. But the enemy wants you to believe the opposite. The enemy wants you to be like, oh, have doubts. The enemy wants you to have doubts about who you are. That's the enemy. And he's very sly. He will tell you, look, you're not light-skinned. Look, you don't have long hair. Look, you don't weigh 100 pounds. Look, you don't look like Madonna. The enemy is out there. He is on social media. He's in your TV. He is here, okay? The enemy is here. You turn on the magazine, they're telling you you're not thin enough, so you can have low self-esteem about yourself. They're telling you you don't have enough money, so that you can have low self-esteem about. Do not let the enemy trick you. Do not let the enemy trick you, because your attention matters. Where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, neural connections grow, right? And where neural connections grow, that's the wiring that you're going to have. That's the wiring that you're going to have. So you gotta be careful how you're wiring your mind. When you're talking about post-traumatic bliss, it's like we are choosing to wire our mind in a way that brings us happiness, because we understand the power that we have with our attention, with our focus. We understand that we are it. Okay? We understand that unless we give those people our attention, unless we give those people our focus, unless we give the enemy our energy, they cannot destroy us. They cannot destroy you if you don't give them your energy. They cannot give you unless you, when you want to understand how to overcome PTSD, you need to understand the wiring. You have to understand how the mind wires itself. When you're in an environment that is negative, you have to understand what creates PTSD in the first place. Right? When you're in an environment, it first starts with an environment. It starts with an environment that is negative, right? It starts with an environment that is negative, that is giving you negative energy that will put you at a loss, that will put you in a position of losing. Okay, that is what PTSD is. For example, if you have a parent, they can choose to give you two types of energy. They can choose to give you a hug when you're lonely, a hug when you're sad. They can choose to use words of encouragement, because words and energy and sound vibration is energy. Touch, a hug is energy. They can choose to give you food that gives you vitality, because they are a loving parent, right? When you're down, they can choose to give you words of encouragement, right? They can choose to buy you clothes that actually make you look good and make you warm and feel loved, right? But They can also decide to put you in a very negative energy. You know, when somebody gives you that positive energy, it makes you confident, it makes you loving, it makes you peaceful, it makes you even want to plan for the future and do great things. But if you're with a parent, they're always criticizing you, they're shouting at you, they're telling you you are bad, right? They slap you, they kick you, they lock you out of the house, they don't feed you food, right? Sometimes they threaten to kick you out, or they threaten to burn the house down. You know, whenever they are in the house, you have to leave because you know that they're just going to just bring all this chaos, right? You don't feel safe. And what happens when you don't feel safe? You become you stay in survival mode. And that is how environments that are negative will give you PTSD. If you want to heal from PTSD, you have to understand that your attention and what you give energy to matters. So you can decide, you know, I understand negative environments can create a very timid brain, a brain that doesn't love itself, a brain that doesn't acknowledge itself. So I'm going to change my environment. You can decide, I am just going to be around people who make me feel that I matter. I am just going to choose friends. You know, I know somebody who said, I only respond to positivity. They decided that they are only going to start responding to positivity, and everybody else who is negative in their life, they're just going to shut them out, because they decided, I am going to create an environment where I feel acknowledged, I feel seen, I feel loved, I feel encouraged, I feel, you know, and I'm going to create a beautiful mind that loves me. They understand their power. And when you start understanding your power, you can overcome a lot of things. I'll leave message on your page, coach. I know you are busy. One person never knows who they help. Thank you, Robert. So once you understand it's all about the wiring of the brain, right? Then you decide you're going to understand that you're going to put yourself in environments that emotionally support you, that emotionally bring in the high level emotions like love, like peace, like joy, kindness, where you're treated with respect, right? And you never negotiate it. You never negotiate it. They don't treat you with respect, they will not see you again. Okay? They are disrespectful, they will never see you again. Like, the humans understand the language of consequences. Okay? So when you realize how important it is for your mental health to be protected, the moment they cross that line and they start making you emotionally insecure, you're going to check them immediately. You're going to check them immediately. And you're going to tell them, I'm not going to talk to you as long as you're talking to me in that tone. You gotta talk to me in a respectful tone before we can even have this discussion, because you understand energy. Because you understand energy. You understand how energy has an impact of your nervous system, and you're going to create boundaries that protect your nervous system. It doesn't matter what else anybody says. If they're going to be disrespectful, you lose engagement. You lose engagement and you don't give anybody your attention, right? Disrespect, no attention. If you're coming here with negative energy that is not giving me anything, I'm not going to respond to it. You only respond to positivity. If they are negative, you're out of there, your attention is there, you're not responding. It's simple. It's simple. You clearly demarcate the environment, the emotional environment that you want to be in. Sound is energy. Your eyes, light is energy, right? So you're not going to watch TV, you're not going to watch news, you're not going to watch things or tolerate things in environments that are not even pleasing to your eyes, like that bring confusion, you know. Because you understand, like, it is shaping your mind. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand, that is shaping the way you think, like watching porn, right? Watching porn, and it's probably the most consumed media on the internet, right? But it can make you have all these fantasies that you never thought, right? Because it can make you visualize things, right? Visualization is important. So when you realize, like, hey, what kind of life do I want to envision? What kind of things do I want to put in my mind? How do I want to wire my mind? Because where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, neural connections grow. You gotta be willing to ask yourself, what do I want to grow? Because you're a garden, just like any other thing you see in life, a garden, nature. We humans, we are like trees, we are like nature, we are like a garden. We forget that we are made in the image of God, and God is everything. You can see your own nature in a garden. What you put in the soil, the moisture, the things will make it grow. It's the same thing with your mind. What you nourish it with, it grows. When we grow in post-traumatic stress, when we grow up in PTSD, we grow up in environments that are negative, an environment that don't bring us love, that don't protect us, that don't bring connection, that don't bring warmth, that don't bring the love. There's no individualized care, you know. And because those environments, they don't bring love and care, you don't learn the language of love, you don't learn the language of individualized care, you know, you don't learn the language of just laughing and having fun and doing all these like relaxed chill things, right? And then you realize, oh, my brain is missing this is what I need to put back into my life: more laughter, more joy, more stability. Like, you now start gardening, you start now become the constant gardener. Robert says no more porn no porn in my life. Good thing, no porn. uh Robert says you make me feel better. Fairness, right? So where attention goes, your attention is so important. So when you love yourself, when you want yourself to grow and mature up, and for me, my goal is, if I'm going to live, let's say, to 100, 110, I want to have this beautiful smile that comes from here to here. Okay, I want people to see that old lady who smiles and is pure joy. Why? Because I dumped the trauma and I decided to create a life and an environment that fosters joy, that brings me happiness, because I decided to just focus on the positive, on the good things, and create a mind environment, you know, that wants that love, that wants that joy, that wants that peace, that wants just that high of happiness, right? Because it's intentional. You have to be intentional to do this, especially when you're coming out of trauma. You have to be intentional that I am changing my mind by whatever I am focusing and putting my energy on. I am changing my mind. Now, how do I want to change my mind, right? You're very aware that you're changing your mind. So how are you going to change your mind from stress, from trauma to post-traumatic bliss? How are you going to move from post-traumatic stress to post-traumatic bliss? How are you going to move from stress survival mode to balance? How are you going to move from your sympathetic nervous system to your parasympathetic nervous system? This is where the shift comes in your mental health. This is the game, right? Moving from here to here. And I'm telling you, the path is where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, neural connections grow. And where neural connections grow, your wiring happens. That is how you wire your internal environment, by growing neural connections. Remember, everything we do is neural connections. Your language that you speak is in your has a neural language, right? Your ability to walk, your motor skills, they have a neural network. Everything is neural network. Everything is wired in your brain, in your whole nervous system. It's all a system of wired neurons, right? So the neurons that you create are going to determine your life experience. If you want to create neural networks for playing the piano, that's how you become a pianist. And then you change your whole life experience. Now you can enjoy all these beautiful notes and play them. If you want to learn the guitar, then you got to put in the time and effort to create the neural networks for playing the guitar and wire your mind so that your fingers and your brain and everything in you can recognize the guitar and play those musical instruments. Because your attention goes there, your energy goes there, your focus goes there, you will eventually wire those neural connections because you are human. That is just the natural process of everybody having to learn. So what you're giving your attention to is determining your future. Simple. If you want to become a guitar player today, in the future, in 10 years, you see yourself like you're playing the guitar, then you're going to put in your focus and attention every day on that activity until you achieve whatever you wanted to achieve. But where attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, neural connections grow. So if you're living in post-traumatic stress right now, and you want to achieve post-traumatic bliss, and you want to achieve post-traumatic harmony, post-traumatic calmness, living with ease of well-being, right? Then what you gotta do? You gotta run, you gotta exercise, you gotta eat healthy, you gotta meditate, you gotta sing, you gotta, have goals that you want to, you gotta try to save money when you work, get some financial independence, get some financial stability. You gotta have things that you're focusing on to create that life. I'm going to write my book. Actually, I have written a class on post-traumatic bliss. If anybody wants to take those classes, those are videos. I'm going to turn those videos into a book. So if you want living in post-traumatic bliss, if you want that book, let me know. I will be turning it into a book. But I have the class, I have written the class, I have made the videos. If somebody wants to learn about mental health, if you want to know where to start, you want to know everything nitty-gritty about changing your brain, changing your life, it's easy. And it's all those things that I'm saying. And I'm telling you these things that I'm telling you, you will start hearing them with people. When people start catching on to these things that I'm telling you, they will start they will start talking more about them when they start understanding these things. But human beings on an instinctual level, they know these things. They know these things on a very instinctual level. That is why you see a lot of parents, they protect their children. They protect their kids on what they will see on the news. They protect their kids. There are things like mindful parents will tell you, because they know that they don't want their kids' mind being polluted. They don't want their kids learning the wrong ideas. You will see parents say, oh, we don't watch that. I don't allow them to see this on TV. I don't allow them to do this and that. Why are parents doing that? They're not being controlling. Some of the parents, they're like, oh, obviously, I don't want my kids to start watching porn at 3 years old, right? Is a parent that has mindfulness. Right now on the internet, your kids can watch anything if you don't track on what they are doing. And then they'll start telling you things like, I don't know if I'm female, I don't know if I'm male, I think I'm confused, I'm gender neutral. Because of the things that they're seeing on the internet, okay? It can get them confused. And good parents understand, like, they have to be very mindful about what they expose their kids to. What I'm saying is, as adults, we lose that. We think that, like, we stop being the police in our life. Nobody's coming to police you. You gotta police yourself because you're an adult. You can't just go watching anything, because where your attention goes, your energy flows, and your neural connection grows. And the brain is plastic. It never stops learning. It never stops forming itself. It never stops growing and learning. So if you expose yourself to negative friends, you're going to pick up those negative vibes, and you're going to create a negative mind eventually, that complains about everything. Because it does that. So you gotta be very mindful of your environment, because you're shaping your mind. You're shaping your mind. The brain is so plastic that it can heal itself. You've heard stories of people who have gone through brain injuries. They forgot their name. They forgot how to read. They forgot how to they would not recognize this as a cup if they saw it. Tremendous things, like people have gone through tremendous things. They forgot to walk, and eventually, guess what happens with practice and therapy and everything? They started regaining themselves back. They started remembering their names, the names of their neighbors. They started labeling things. They started writing again. That is how amazing your brain is. You will never see anything as amazing as your brain. Ever on this planet, you will never see anything as amazing as your brain. You can learn how to do a business. You can learn how to skydive. You can learn how to play an instrument. Once you understand that where your attention goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, neural connections grow. And when neural connections grow, you wire your brain. There is this protein that forms on your neurons called the myelin sheath. Okay, the myelin sheath only forms when it's a protein, and when that protein forms, it means that whatever it is that you are trying to wire, it has stuck. It has become so good. It's brilliant, right? Like, it is like, it has hit that note when it becomes good. So like the people who can play the piano or play the guitar very well, like maybe they've practiced it for like 10, 30, 50 years, they're right? It's like you listen to them and you're like, damn it, right? Because the neurons that they have formed the myelin sheath. They have formed that protein around them. Neurons are very microscopic. You can't see them. But once they form that myelin sheath, when they form that protein, you've hit it, right? You've become the creme de la creme, right? Like, it's like on that level. You want to get there. You want to use neuroplasticity to help you shape your brain and shape your life and change whatever circumstances that you want. So you can start as the most depressed person on earth. You can start as the most depressed person on earth. But then you learn the art of being happy, the art of being in balance, the art of meditating. Meditating changes the brain. The people with the highest brain waves, the highest, most coherent brain waves, they are called the gamma brain waves. They are the people who have meditated for like 10 years, like 10,000 hours, right? Like they did studies. Scientists have done studies. Like you will see sometimes they'll get like let's say a yogi, they will put things on him and then measure their brain waves. They noticed like people who meditate have the highest gamma brain waves. Okay, they call them the gamma brain waves. It means they are the fastest brain waves and the most coherent brain waves. The rest of us, we are in beta. We are in beta brain waves, just very stressful, disorganized brain waves every day, right? Stressful, disorganized brain waves. So you want to meditate. You can change your brain, right? You can change your brain through meditation. Absolutely. Absolutely. You can change your brain through meditation, right? And when you're going through stress and post-traumatic bliss, post-traumatic trauma, and you want to change your mind to post-traumatic bliss, this is the kind of information that you will need. because this is the kind of information that's actually helpful and useful, right? Other information is not useful. I mean, when you go to therapy, for example, you want to know what's the end of the therapy. Why am I here? Why am I here talking to this therapist? But when you understand, like, you're here to change your brain from being fearful, from being in shame, to being in joy, to being in peace, you're going to walk into that therapy, and guess what? You're going to talk. You're going to talk and you're going to tell everything to the therapist. You're going to be open to them because you know, like, I'm wanting to move away from fear. I'm wanting to move away from shame. I'm wanting to move away from not feeling that somebody can connect with me, from the fear of being seen and connected with, because I'm coming from a childhood where nobody wanted to connect with me, where nobody wanted to see me, where nobody wanted to hear from me, where people used to tell me to shut up, you know. And you're deciding, I'm going to change my mind. I am going to say things to my therapist so that they know who I am and what I am about, and so I can be able to change your mind. So you go tell them, like, hey, whatever it is this that you need to tell them, like, hey, this happened to me, I did this, these things happen. You want to be honest with them, because when you're under trauma, you come from a place where people keep things secret, especially painful things, you know. Like, a lot of kids, they are told when they're molested, don't talk to me, don't talk about me, don't tell this that happened to anybody. So part of the trauma is living in secrecy. And when you go to therapy and you want to change your mind, you're thinking, I want to stop living in secrecy, I want to stop living in guilt and shame, so I'm going to talk and I am going to put it out in the open, right? And that's how you keep changing your brain, right? Now you take the power back of the secrecy, of the shame and the guilt, and you put it out there. You tell somebody like your therapist, and you know what? They're trained. They're not going to they're not going to blame you, or they're not going to they're going to be open, right? So yeah, like killing in combat, right? Let's say you had a stressful experience. Like, a lot of soldiers live in a lot of trauma. Even if you're in combat and it's like you're in combat and you kill somebody, right? You still have taken the life of somebody. A lot of people, they cannot get from that. And if you think, this is why I hate the whole thing about recruiting young men into the army. And this is my experience, okay? You're getting men who are like 18 years old. These men cannot even drink, because we don't even allow them to drink until they are 21. Okay, not that I allow drinking, but you get the point. But you give them a gun. So you don't trust them enough with alcohol, and you trust them enough with a gun that they can go out there and take somebody's life. If they're not able to deal with their problems and they're not even able to drink, why are they out there with a gun, killing somebody, taking somebody's life, unaliving somebody from this planet? It's going to mess up their mind, because these are young men who are not even able to deal with their emotions, right? And because they don't know any better, they are young, they are easily recruited into these places where it's going to change their life. Okay, it's a negative environment. If you have to kill somebody, you're in a negative environment. I don't know how you justify it in your head, but you're in an environment that's probably effed up, right? And it's going to shape you and the rest of your future. And young people, you know, they think joining in the army, and they're like, oh, I'll get free housing, I'll get education, I'll get all this, I'll get all that. They are just counting like the nice things that they are going to get, because they are young. They are naive, you know, they're not thinking like This is like selling your soul to the devil, because you're going to come out very traumatized, unable to think, unable to plan your life, unable to, you know, to feel happiness. You know, I'm going to be drowning in guilt and shame and self-loathing. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that. You're 16. What do you know anyway? Or you're 18. What do you know? What do you care anyway? 2 days ago, you were 16. And then you're 18. And now you think you know, like you get what I mean. That's why I say, young people, you need to be emotionally intelligent. Especially if you are coming from a background where you've been traumatized. This is not the time you joke with your life. This is the time you get help, you get therapy, you get good advice. It's your career, 21 years, right? It has shaped by now, after 21 years, it has shaped you the way it has shaped you. It's kind of like you cannot, in Kiswahili we say, you cannot, once the milk pours down, you cannot come and collect milk that's already poured, you know? Or like if you pour down water on the floor, or water goes down the floor, you can't take it back up and put it back in the cup, right? You're not going to, you're not going to take it, right? So it is what it is right now, Robert, right? What matters is how are you going to shape your mind right now, right? What matters is not what you did last year. You already have a career. If you're in law enforcement, or you've been in the army or whatever, those careers really change your mind, right? But now what are you going to do? Are you going to bring more awareness into this? I mean, you've already been through this. Are you going to educate somebody else or bring more awareness? Your brain has the ability to change, right? Neuroplasticity is not going anywhere. How are you going to change your brain? What are you going to do? Like, because careers can change our brain, our childhoods can change our brain, our relationships can change our brain, our hobbies can change our brain, right? Neuroplasticity is here. You know, somebody said, unless you stop breathing and you're dead, you're still a winner, okay? You're still a winner. We still got this going on, right? So what have you learned from that environment? How are you going to help yourself with renewing and rewiring your brain and your mind? You know, what are you going to learn from it? You know, it's maybe you're going to learn to love yourself more. Forgiveness. You're going to learn about letting go. You're going to learn about living in the present moment instead of living in the past. Maybe you're going to start working out. You're going to be more mindful. Like, what are you gonna do at the end of the day? Like, what are you gonna do? Because you still got time. You're still here, you know? Yeah. See, now you can still do something. You can still like educate young pilots that report to you. You can still, you know, you can still show them, you know, the things that are done, right? People who work in law enforcement, people who work with sometimes I feel like they stay in those areas for way too long, until they start twitching, having all these neurological problems. Like, you can see that they are twitching, stuff like that, right? Like, you can tell, like, sometimes they stay too long, right? I think those are the things that you can probably tell them. Like, you gotta watch your mental health. You gotta have consistent coaching. You gotta understand how to wire and change your mind. Like, you gotta be on it. Because guess what? I have noticed, like, this environment that we live in America, nobody Nobody wants to take responsibility for anybody's mental health. Corporations don't want to take responsibility. The government doesn't want to take responsibility. You know, like if you're working in a factory and they're producing all these fumes with gas and everything, they're not going to do anything about your health unless the government comes or the people protest or the labor unions come and they decide enough is enough, we need these conditions changed. Okay? In New York, there was this time when the workers were working in a factory, okay? It was a cotton factory. And then the fire started, right? And they had blocked all the exits. They had blocked all the exits. People were unable to get out in time because you know how cotton is. It bursts in flames, right? A lot of people died. All the factory workers, everybody died in that factory fire. They were not going to do anything about it. They were not going to do anything about it. The factory wasn't going to be about it. The government wasn't going to do about it. But this one woman who witnessed it all, because it was next to her house, she witnessed it. She saw the fire. She saw the devastation. She ran for office. She ran for office, and because of her, we have labor laws. Okay? We have labor rights. We have labor laws. Because of one woman, right, who saw the devastation and realized that these people, they will she realized these people will okay exploiting workers for money, for everything, and not fight for their rights. And I'm telling you, a lot hasn't changed about mental health. Okay, they are willing to exploit you. They are willing to put you in environments that are, they know they are negative because they are, capitalism is a system that of exploitation, right? We didn't grow up in a system of exploitation. Human beings have always lived in community. They've always loved each other, taken care of each other. We've always lived in families, in communities, in groups, and we used to take care of each other. But capitalism is like, you're on your own, right? Nobody's going to take care of your mental health. It's the unfortunate truth. It's the reality of the environment that you're living in. If you don't realize that your environment may be trying to break you, and if you don't prioritize your mental health, if you're just going to be the mouse that goes into the system and plays with the system without wanting to know much about your mental health, it might fuck you up, right? Right? Love to meet you, Peter. Yeah. And a lot of people need to know this. A lot of people need to. Awesome, Robert. Thanks for stopping by. May you be joyful and may you be happy and live with a joyful heart. May you be healthy and live with a body that gives you energy, and may you be protected and be safe from all sorts of inner and outer harm. And may you live with the ease that comes with well-being. It was nice to see you. I'm excited to see you tomorrow. Love you, love you, love you, love you guys. I'll be starting work tomorrow, so I'll probably be doing very early, like I'll be probably coming live very early in the morning. So yes, see you guys. So yeah, it's a brief time we've been here. I'm also going to go and start doing other activities in readiness for tomorrow. Darren, who do you want to marry? Yeah, see you, Robert. Be safe. Thank you. So anyway, guys, it's time for me to end this live session. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for the likes. So I'm going to do this. My schedule will be changing, so I'll see. I usually like to go for morning runs very early in the morning, so I'll try to do it between 7 and 8 in Pacific time. Yeah, I'll be working, but I like to do coaching for people who are living in stress and trauma, because what you need to know is the information that you need to have. Once you have the information that you need to have, I can tell you trauma will be completely gone in your life, because you will have the tools to change your life, right? You have the ability to change your mind, and you have the right. You have all the right to change your mind. You have the ability, you have the right to change your mind. I am here to give you the knowledge and the tools to change your mind, right? And then you're going to do the work. And it's going to work 100%, because where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, neural connections grow. And where neural connections grow is the neural wiring that you get, is the program that you get. So trust me, they programmed your mind into stress and trauma. You can rewire your mind into post-traumatic bliss, okay? You can use the same tools, the same asana tools that they used to fuck you up. You can use the same asanas, the same tools to live in post-traumatic bliss, you know? Because if you can be programmed a certain way, you can reprogram yourself the other way, because what? Our brain is plastic. It's Play-Doh. It can be molded and remolded and remolded, you know? So love to see you here. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for, and when you like, it's really good, because other people come and they are watching the stream, and they're seeing that there are people who like this live stream, and they are encouraged to stay and listen and grow. So I appreciate that. I love you so much. Remember, you are unique. You're 1 in a billion for eternity. And we are talking forever and ever and ever and ever. There has never been somebody like you. There will never be anyone like you. You're unique, like a snowflake. There's no copies of you. We are happy to have you here on this planet, because you're unique. We are glad and honored that you're here, because you're special. Okay, there is something about you, okay, that is divine, and that's why you are here. You come from the core of God. You come from the core of God's love, right? You are love itself. Maybe you've been through trauma and you cannot recognize this, but I want you to trust the process. I want you to trust the process, because once you're out of those woods, you will see clearly, and you will see God's love, and you will see, like, surely you will understand. It makes sense, right? But if you're going through the trauma, if you're going the pain, I'm saying hang on, okay? Do not give up. Hang on, because there is something that I see when I'm on the other side that you probably have not seen it yet. It doesn't mean you will not see it. I can assure you 100%, as I know the sun will rise tomorrow morning, whether I'm here or not. You know, as I know, like, water is life, and you know, 100%, that you might be going through trauma and you think that there is no way out of it. I can assure you 100%, there is a way out of it. There is a way out of it. I know this like I know the palm of my hand, because I have gone through trauma. I've lost parents before I was 6 years old. I have lost a family member that was dear to me. I've gone through poverty. I've gone through so many things, and I did not think that there was possible. And in my very darkest hour, when I wanted to end my life, I saw a vision of my funeral. I saw a vision of the things, the hurt that had cost my family, and I decided not to. But in that moment, when I decided not to, I told God, if you can show me a way out of this darkness, you know, I told God, if you can show me, let me take this call. Hello? Yeah. So when I got into that situation, I told God, if you show me how to get out of this traumatic experience, this just sadness, this whatever, I was going to show somebody else to do it. And surely after that, I watched something on Oprah that made me look for another book and then another book and another book. And it's like God heard my prayer, but He wanted me to read all these books, okay, so that I can understand mental health properly. So that when I communicate to somebody, it just didn't come from a religious place or just another place. I think God wanted me to have this this understanding about how the brain works, about the nervous system, so that people can know that they can change their brain, so that they know that they can change their life, that they have the power to do so. And that is what I do on this channel. I show people like how to change their brain, how to wire their brain. Um, there is, I few people believe in human potential the way I believe in human potential. And I think it's because I have read extraordinary stories of other people. I have read like brilliant stories of other people. And um, I know few people believe in human potential the way I do. But it's because for me, I have seen clearly the ability of the brain to change itself. And I have seen myself use those practices and change my brain. You know, I can tell you my brain is not the way it was 10 years ago. And it could have gone either way. I could have continued on being super, super, super depressed, but I went the other way. I went the other way. And it's because of the things that I read, the books that I read, I kept getting better and better and better in understanding mental health. And that's all I want to share. And if it's just going to show you somebody like, hey, if people who have brain damages can go into therapy and after 10 years write a book when they could not have remembered their name, you know, when they have lost everything, including their understanding of their environment, they are functioning at the level of a 3-year-old after brain damage. And after that, after 10 years, after therapy, after reading, going through, they can go back and write a book and go on an interview and communicate and articulate their ideas and talk to people and inspire millions. You know, if somebody can overcome such a kind of like a brain damage, a brain injury, you can overcome trauma. You can overcome stress. The brain has that ability. God has given your nervous system that intelligence, that ability. All you gotta know is how to use your nervous system. It's kind of like if I give you a car, right? And I give you the keys. If you don't know how to drive the car, you're not gonna go anywhere. But if you know how to drive the car, you're gonna go everywhere, right? The same way with your nervous system. You can change your brain, you can change your mind, but you gotta know how to drive your nervous system. You gotta know how to wire your mind. You gotta know how to change, you know, your default setting from depression and anxiety and fear into peace, joy, and harmony and creativity. You just gotta know how to reset that system, right? Where how we move from trauma to post-traumatic bliss, how we move from sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. How you gonna unlock those things? How you gonna unlock that, right? So that's what we talk about. You can unlock it. You know, if I show you how to do it, you have the key. You can go wherever you want. You can do it. It's easy, but you know, you gotta find people who have the right information. There's a lot of noise on this internet, okay? And the people with the right information, they don't get 1,000 likes, okay? It's the people who say a lot of nonsense that get a lot of followers sometimes. So you gotta be choosy and picky with who you're listening to. You gotta learn who gives you the right information and who doesn't, who's BSing you and who is not, right? But you know, you choose your path and you create your mind, whether you do it intentionally, or whether you do it by mistake. Like, you choose it. But I'm going to end it here. So I'm going to say the blessing to all of you, my darlings. May you be happy and live with a joyful heart. May you be healthy and live with a body that gives you energy. And may you be safe and protected from all sorts of inner and outer harm. And may you live with the ease that comes with well-being. I love you, God loves you, and you love you, and you're one of a kind. There'll be nobody like you for eternity. So you're that and a bag of chips. I love you so much. See you tomorrow, and hit that subscribe button. Take care.